Megamaniacs, welcome back to Genesis Does, and today we have something very special that just came in from Limited Run Games, something that in almost 30 years has never seen an official North American release. Despite their name, this wasn't limited to just LRG. You could get this from Castlemania among other places, but it was a pre-order limited to 3,500 items in total, no matter which retailer you got it from. This is Zero Wing. Zero Wing got released on Mega Drive in Japan in 1991 and in Europe in 1992, but they never released it here, and part of the reason may have been that the localization to English was so poor that they realized it would be laughed at in the United States. Well, it was laughed at anyway, because in 1999, it became a meme when the internet collectively rediscovered the awful translation from Japanese to English, including the infamous phrase, "All your base are belong to us." It was soon to spawn an animated video and a musical remix, and then a Newgrounds user combined the two together into a video, and in the pre-YouTube days, the "All Your Base Belong to Us" video was one of the most popular and successful videos on the entirety of the internet. Unlike some memes, its popularity didn't die off immediately. In fact, if anything, in the 2000s, it only got more viral because it became part of an elaborate series of stunts and hoaxes by various people, including teenagers in Sturgis, Michigan, who put up signs all around town saying, "All your base are belong to us," and hackers in North Carolina who took over a web server for a local news broadcast and made the phrase "all your base belong to us" scroll across the ticker of the live news feed. So this got into pop culture in a way that internet memes hadn't really achieved before that date. It became something of a phenomenon to the point they even had competing t-shirt designs for sale with the "all your base are belong to us" phrase on it. And as your resident video game enthusiast and nerd in general, you better believe I had an "all your base are belong to us" t-shirt that I wore proudly to several of the retro video game conventions that I went to in the 2000s. So I was not immune to this phenomenon, and I was enthralled by it precisely because of the fact that this game never came out in the United States. And very early on in my Sega Genesis collecting days, I acquired all of the Toaplan shooters either loose or complete in box, with the exception of this one. Zero Wing has always been ridiculously expensive to import from Europe or get a copy of from Japan because of the meme and the fact that the game went viral as a result. So the prices skyrocketed, and I was never willing to pay that much to import a copy of Zero Wing when I could play it in emulation. So for the first time ever, thanks to this reissue by Tatsujin, which owns all of the intellectual property of Toaplan, we now have a physical limited release that is actually affordable. That is to say, it was affordable when the pre-order was available because it was about $50 plus shipping and tax. If you're trying to buy it secondhand after that, the prices may go up to around where the European and Japanese copies of Zero Wing go for, and I'm sorry about that. I can't help that. If you are looking for this years after I release this video and it's astronomically expensive again, I'm just going to tell you to do what I did for so many years and play it in emulation, but definitely do play it, because the irony of this one not being released in the United States is it might actually be the most fun out of all of the Toaplan shooters on Sega Genesis. So instead of just talking about it, I'm actually going to show you the game and let you see what I mean for yourself. For this particular episode, I'm going to do something a little different than usual. I'm actually going to play the physical cartridge first and do a little capture of my screen from my Analog Mega SG. I'm sorry I don't have a capture card for that, so you'll just have to take it from the camera for a little bit, and then we'll switch over to emulation, and I'll show you the rest of the footage in a much clearer, much crisper display mode. But I wanted to show first and foremost that the physical cartridge they include in the box for Zero Wing is not just for show. Yes, it is a beautiful translucent purple, or as they call it, plasma color, but it's not just for display purposes only, unlike the cartridge they packed inside of the collector's edition for Sonic Mania, which quite frankly was doubly disappointing since they didn't even include a physical game cartridge for Nintendo Switch. They just gave you a DLC code inside of the package. Why? Why would I spend that much money for a reproduction physical cartridge that doesn't work, and then no physical cartridge for the actual game itself? It just blew my mind at the time. I thought for that much money for a collector's edition, there would at least be a physical working game inside the box. Sonic Mania did eventually get physical releases later on, but that took a while. You bought the collector's edition, you didn't get one. When you buy the collector's edition of Zero Wing, you get a working Genesis cartridge. Not just physical media of some kind, but physical media that will actually work on a Genesis or an Analog Mega SG. It is the real deal. And it even has the same localization errors from Japanese to the European edition that made this game so infamous in the first place. They didn't clean it up. That wouldn't have been any fun. They left it exactly the way it is. Now, I am playing on quote-unquote easy mode here, but don't get that twisted, because this is still a total plan shooter, and even the easy mode is hard compared to a lot of shooters out there. But this one is more generous than most total plan games, because you get the two options that give you 3 shooting objects on the screen almost immediately from the start, which gives you a much better chance for success. And the bullets are not only auto-fire by default, but they also tend to home in on the enemy if it's below or above you. So you don't just get auto-fire, you get auto-fire that's auto-aimed. Maybe that is a little too easy, but playing some total playing games that just punish you brutally and mercilessly for not having everything memorized and not following a perfect pattern, it's refreshing to get a little bit of a break here, whether that's because it's easy mode or whether because they decided to be more generous. It's good either way. You still have to be careful because there's still collision walls that you have to maneuver around, and you still have to intercept larger objects with your fire before they can fire too many shots at you and turn the screen into a bullet hell. So you have challenges. They're just not as extreme as you may be used to from the other total plan shooters that you've played. And I'm doing surprisingly well for not having played this in emulation for quite a long time. I haven't died yet. That's merciful in and of itself. And the power-ups change from triple shots to having a shield that absorbs a hit, to getting laser fire, to one that I believe speeds up the movement of your ship, although I could be wrong about that. And you can just generally rely on your triple shot to get most of the job done, especially when you have the auto-aiming version that puts it into whatever enemy you can't reach. So if you can, hang on to that all the way to mid-boss of stage 1, because he has a very big spread shot and a one-hit kill shot that you're going to want to take care of. He hides in a cage until you get to a certain point, and then he comes out and starts releasing those bullets, and as you can see, even with my triple shot, it took me out. So now I'm going to switch to the emulated footage and continue from there to show you how you defeat it. Like most shooters, you're going to lose your power-ups when you die, even in easy mode, but at least this one gives you the chance to regain a triple shot. So you may not have the auto aim, but you do get a triple shot back that you can use to your advantage when you're fighting this mid-stage boss. And my advice to you is get all the way down and to the right, lure him as far back as you can, then zip back around him and start wailing on him with the triple shot. Try not to go too far down, because that makes it easier to get hit by his spread, and you can also collide with the ground, which counts as a collision that kills you. So don't do that, and don't do that either. Don't get caught in one corner or the other where you can easily be taken out by a shot you can't avoid. Try to stay in the middle as much as you can, because then you're also doing as much damage to his front face where he's vulnerable as you can. If you wail on him enough times, you will eventually move on to the rest of stage 1, as you see me doing here, where you get more waves of enemies to start out with and some of the bigger ships that drop power-ups, so even if you died before the boss fight and got a limited amount of your abilities back, you can overcome that and make progress pretty quickly. For me, Zero Wing epitomizes the phrase, easy to learn, difficult to master. That phrase was often used with Atari 2600 games because of their simplistic graphics as a way to sell the idea that even though they don't look sophisticated, there is hidden depth to them. Well, this one does look sophisticated, but it's also got a level of challenge that rises as you get accustomed to it. The better you get, the further you'll get, and the more things that'll be thrown at you. And if it doesn't seem like that's enough for you, you can change the difficulty settings in the options menu. You don't have to play it on easy mode like I'm doing for this demonstration. You can make it as hard as you want. Toaplan lets you scale it to your ability and difficulty, and then you get to have the maximum amount of fun by playing it the way you want to play. I can't recommend Zero Wing more highly. I wish I had something to say that could tell you how much of a joy it is to finally play this in a physical form after so many years of playing it in emulation. But on an Analog Mega SG, it's a real treat because I've got the 8BitDo wireless controller. The controller is 2.4 gigahertz and has the same 9 pins out as a real Sega Genesis, so you can use it on original hardware as well as the Analog Mega SG, and it's just a treat to do so. And it's even better when you have it in high definition on an HD TV through the analog. It really looks as crisp and beautiful playing it that way as it does right here in my captured emulation footage. It's so much fun. It's one of my favorite shooters of all time. If you give Zero Wing a chance, I think it'll be one of yours too. And hopefully, with the success of this limited release, they will also make ports of it for various things like Nintendo Switch, Xbox One S, PlayStation 5, whatever console you want to play it on, and hopefully it will be in a digital version too. So if you can't buy the physical version and you don't want to play it through emulation, hopefully you'll be able to purchase a digital copy for a reasonable price, because Zero Wing deserves to be played by everyone, especially if you're a fan of shooters, and double especially if you're a fan of the Toaplan shooters. This is a must-have in my book. I'm Mr. Mega Man Fan. This is Genesis Does, with a very special look at a game that became famous as a meme, but deserves to be known for far more than that. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you'll come back for another one next week. But for now, as I always say, like, share, and comment because it helps the channel grow. Thanks for watching.